Welcome to this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast, where we look forward to shaving every day. Welcome to episode 62 of the podcast. My name is Rick DeWeese. I'll be your host this week. This week, one of the first things that we'll cover is the letters and things that we've been sent, links to articles and YouTube channels and blogs, and, well, we've just got a lot to talk about there. So we've also got just a quick review of some Dapper Dragon soap samples that I have, and I talk about those this week. Also, the sophomore shaver gave me a sample of Whickham Soap Company's Spice Trade Super Smooth Shaving Soap, and I do a quick review on that. I got myself a new shaving bowl, a new lather bowl, and well, I really like it, and I picked it up at an unusual place. My razors of the week, well, I've gone vintage this week. I've gone back old school, back to single-edge blades. I've gone back to a single edge, well, and straight razors, and so I'll talk to you about that as well. So then finally, I just, well, somebody accused me of something this week, and after I thought about it, I need to tell him, thank you. I'll tell you why. So with that, let's go ahead and get this show started. If you would like to have something unique, beautiful, and useful, and you'd also like to support the Brush and Soap and Blade podcast, I'm working with an artisan, and we're going to have an announcement here in the coming weeks, so stay tuned. But we are working on the details of it. When you find out, when I finally let it out, who the artisan is, yeah, I think you'll be interested in this one. So save your pocket change. You'll probably want to get on board with this one, and we'll see what we can do for you. So let's take a look at the letters for this week. The first thing that I got was actually a notification from, well, none other than Twitter. They're kind of keeping track of me. Imagine that. Something like, Twitter or Facebook actually keeping track of what you do. Yeah, there's nothing to fear here, folks, really. Anyhow, the first article that they linked me to that I found terribly interesting was, well, a gimmick. And this article was out of Paleo Future in Gizmodo.com, and the title of the article, and I'll go ahead and link to it and put it in the show notes, was "This was an electric razor and face massager in 1926." And there's a picture of a guy that is shaving with his razor plugged into a light socket and then, well, massaging his face with said razor. So the article starts off, as electricity invaded American homes in the 1920s, and they make it sound like this is bad. Wow. As electricity invaded American homes in the 1920s, everything imaginable was becoming electrified, from electric clocks and coffee percolators to electric dishwashers and stand mixers. Every gadget was going electric. Even the sacred ritual of shaving one's face was getting the electric treatment, as you can see in this early version of the Vibro-Shave electric razor. So they go on and they have the some it almost looks like patent information, or an advertisement of this vibrating, shaver. It's really kind of cool to look at, and they've actually have one. They picked up at an auction on eBay. So it was, it's just kind of cute, and it makes you realize that all the way back into 1926, that's like 90 years ago, we were being sold gimmicks. Not much different than today, huh? So then the next question becomes, well, okay, all right, so we're obviously buying into the gimmicks, but why do we do this? Why do we go through all this trouble anyway? Well, I got a letter from David, and it was a link, and the link was to an article in The Telegraph over in the UK, And the article is titled Facial Hair's Formative Years, What the Vikings and Romans Did for Male Grooming. And this was, it's an excerpt from a book by Lucinda Huxley. And she had written a book that was called, let's get down to the bottom here, and it was called Mustaches, Whiskers, and Beards. And so part of this was put into the Telegraph article. It starts off, facial hair has been represented in art since the first cave person picked up a piece of charcoal and decided to draw a man. Early art also reveals that facial hair has long been tamed, usually by being clipped or plucked, suggesting that the all-important question of to shave or not to shave has been around for almost as long as humans themselves. Facial hair has fallen in and out of fashion. Hairy faces have been lauded, derided, commemorated in art, and even legislated against. In ancient Egypt, for example, shaving was associated with cleanliness, so priests shaved themselves entirely and would then wear a stylized false beard for ceremonial purposes. So you can see that this started out, well, way back when. And I'm sure the ancient Egyptians were not the first ones. It does go further than that. Anyhow, this article kind of pulls us through the Middle Ages and the Greeks and the Romans and so on and so forth. And so it's a rather lengthy article, but I did enjoy reading it, and it does kind of give some history that is fascinating. So I thought I would link to it. I will put it in the show notes. And this brings me up to another letter that I got, and this one was from Mark. So Mark writes, it was November of 1968. I was on a Boy Scout camping trip in western Massachusetts. A guest at the campout was a veteran from World War I. He told us the story of Lord Baden-Powell and the formation of scouting in England and the United States. Lord Baden-Powell fought in the Boer Wars at the turn of the century. He was also a historian who studied the American Civil War. More soldiers were lost due to poor hygiene in the American Civil War than in combat. He returned to England after serving in several conflicts and retired from the Army. He began the scouting movement because he had seen that many male recruits lacked discipline and basic knowledge of life skills and realized that training in these aspects needed to begin early in a young man's life. His scouting movement was to teach life skills such as hygiene, respect for property, and stewardship of money. Part of this included teaching a shaving routine as part of cleanliness. When World War I started, Powell volunteered to return to the Army, but his country felt his scouting movement was of greater importance. Powell had a friendship with General Pershing, the leader of American troops in the war. Powell's scouting movement was influential in spreading the use of double-edged razors in England. When the English encountered gas warfare, it was essential that soldiers remain clean-shaven in order to ensure a secure fit of the gas mask. Many English soldiers took their double-edged sets they first used in scouting. American soldiers in World War I were issued sets of Gillette safety razors. These sets were the only sets the government issued. It never issued a set in World War II. Although Gillette focused on safety razors for GIs, in World War II, production for civilians all but halted. This World War I veteran showed several things he used as a soldier in the war. One of them was a shaving kit. When soldiers came back from the war, the demand for Gillette razors boomed. Lord Baden-Powell was so famous for his advocacy of the double-edged that shaving kits, including shaving mugs with Lord Powell's image, became as iconic as the Old Spice shaving mug did in this country. When this veteran visited our scout troop, it was exactly 50 years from the time of his service. How many scout troops have Vietnam veterans involved in their troops today who also served 50 years ago? They probably looked at this veteran who fought before cable TV, the internet, and video games, and see him in the same light as I saw this World War I veteran. I didn't understand the honor I had meeting a man who met General Pershing, Lord Baden-Powell, and who fought with the Devil Dogs. But only now I do. On one cold November morning, we saw him shave with the same kit he used in the Great War, which is what World War I was called before World War II. Whenever I hear the litany that a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent, I know a little bit more of where the clean came from. Cheap salsa bowl regards, Mark. And he included a very, very nice picture of a Gillette set that was, looks like a bulldog set, single ring. Very nice set with a mirror and everything. And quite honestly, that's what I used as kind of a model for what I affectionately call the bomb. I've got two containers very similar to the Gillette set that he has here. One for a brush and one for soap. So using the same philosophy, I too understand completely. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, that back in the day, there was a time when having somebody of age being part of your scouting group or your youth group or anything to do with kids was, well, normal. And now, well, maybe not so much. It's curious. It's interesting. And that's one of the reasons that I thoroughly enjoy dealing with scouts, because as you've stated in this letter, Mark, it is indeed at that early age that we have influence, that we can change a little bit the young man's outlook, well, on life, not just within the scouting program, but within life. And that is what is special, at least to me. And so, I thoroughly enjoyed reading this letter. It does bring a little bit of emotion to me because it is involved in scouting as I am, and so thank you for that, Mark. And with that in mind, Mark also sent me another link, and this one is a link to a YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is Cheapshaver. And so I will put up a link to this. Go check out Cheapshaver. The pictures are, well, a bit familiar. I believe I've put a good number of them on my blog. And so any support that we can give Cheapshaver, go check out his videos, and he's got some good stuff, and give him a little bit of support. So with that, then I got another letter, and this one was interesting too, because it was right after the one that I got from Mark, and suddenly I get this letter, well, from Adonis. And he says, hello from Michigan. I discovered your blog early on in my wet shaving journey. I have been shaving for just over 2 years now and have yet to miss a day. I'm a head shaver as well as face and neck. For some reason, I only just recently started listening to your podcast. I listen during my morning shave. I find you to be entertaining and engaging. I love the fact that you don't label yourself as an expert or guru, but acknowledge that you are continuing to learn this passion we have. I appreciate that. I also appreciate how listening to your show while I shave has changed the pacing of the event. It's become a much more focused and relaxing process, and I retain a surprisingly large amount of what you talk about. Your easygoing openness and wit make it a joy to listen to you daily. I started at episode 60 and am going backwards to catch up. I just wanted to say that I appreciate the time and effort you put into educating and entertaining the wet shaving community. So much so that, and blogs like yours, inspired me to start my own blog a while ago. It's not much, mostly shave of the days, but it's evolving. Eventually, I want to delve into podcasts also, so I may want to pick your brain about that later. Thanks again, a fan, Adonis. And he gave me the link to his blog, and I have been following his blog for a while. It's good stuff over there. So it's That Shave Life. So check out his blog. And as far as podcasts, absolutely. I sent him a note back and said, yeah, come up with some questions. I would be happy to talk about podcasting. And if you need any help or advice getting into it, well, I can give you my opinion. Again, just kind of like wet shaving. I'm not an expert at this. I've just been doing it a while. It doesn't make me an expert. But I have made a few mistakes. And hopefully I can share that with you, and I'll do that on air because there might be some more people out there that, want to get into podcasts. And quite honestly, we're a big enough community that we can handle as many podcasts as you guys want to put out there, I think. When I sit back and look, at all the blogs and soaps and everything else that's going on, yeah, we're growing, and we're growing fast, absolutely. We need more podcasts. I need more company out here. So if you have some questions, whether it's Adonis or anybody else out there that's listening, if you want to do a podcast and if you want to ask me some questions, I would be happy to answer those on air. Who knows? Maybe we can move your project along as well. So that's it. Adonis, thank you very much for a letter. Look forward to hearing from you again to try to answer any questions that you have. Now, I also got a letter from Queen Charlotte Soaps. And Queen Charlotte Soaps wrote me and said, hello, valued customers, because I'm on their mailing list. To celebrate Veterans Day and to honor all the men and women who have served or are serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, we are having a sale. Please use coupon code VETERAN2014, no spaces, a lowercase for everything, to receive 15% off your order. This excludes Soap of the Month Club memberships. Thank you for your continued support. Have a great day. Best regards. Well, first off, thank you very much for letting me know about that. And because if you let me know, I'll let others know and put it on the show. And so if you've got any specials, sales, things like that, drop me a line and I'll put it on the air for you. Not a problem. Anyhow, that kind of wraps up the letters for today. Again, if you would like to get in touch with me, you can drop me an email at BrushnSoapnBlade@gmail.com, and I love hearing from you guys. I truly do. Or if that's too much of a hassle and you're more of a talker than a typist, like I am, give me a call, 864-372-6234. That's my GoogleVoice account, and you can give me drop me a quick line there and let me know what's going on, and we'll put it on the air unless you tell me otherwise. So anyhow, that's it for the letters. So this week for soaps, I have been playing around with some samples that I got from Dapper Dragon. Okay, I didn't get the samples from him. I actually got the samples. Somebody was selling them on Facebook, and I said, well, I can't remember what the price on them was, but it was so inexpensive, and I hadn't tried any of the Dapper Dragons as of yet, so I said, I gotta have that. So I went ahead and got them. So I got the Jasmine and Vanilla, the, let's see, what was the other one? The Cinnamon Bun, and then the Blood Orange. Now, I started out with the Blood Orange, and it was, it's an interesting smell. It's got a little bit of an orangey smell to it, and, it wasn't bad. What I found, and I don't know if it's the fact that the samples had been around for a while or what, but I found the smell to be, well, very light, very, maybe not wispy, but it wasn't heavy. It was a very light, refreshing smell that you would just it would kind of touch base every now and then, just to kind of let you know that, well, it's still around. And so from that aspect, it was really good. Now, the way that I lathered these things, I tried the first time when I lathered them to lather them with my Plisson. And what I would do is I would hold them in my hand and take my my damp brush and whip up a lather over top of my my shaving bowl, so that way anything that dripped off would drip into the shaving bowl and I could still use it. And I found that to be a very good method. However, I also found that the Plisson for a hard soap like this doesn't have enough backbone, and it was taking me forever to load the brush to get a decent amount of soap. Now, don't get me wrong. The soap that I got was excellent. It's just that when I looked at it, the lather was, well, just a touch light. Yeah, it was still there, and it was still good. It was just, well, a touch light. So the next day, what I did is I went and I used one of my bore brushes. In fact, I used my 830, which I hadn't used for a while, instead of my 1305, and soaked it and created an absolutely marvelous lather with this stuff. And again, the lather that I got was thick and luxurious and excellent cushion, and I mean, I was well pleased, almost beyond well pleased. It was really an excellent lathering soap. And then, you go back to the smell. It's like, well, okay, it was there every now and then. It wasn't in your face. It's not, it's not like somebody sprayed an orange at you or something. It's just kind of light. The face feel afterwards was very nice. It allowed me to do a couple of touch-ups without putting lather back on, which was, kind of nice. So I really enjoyed that. I really, truly enjoyed that. The next one, and probably amongst all of them, it's probably my favorite smell, was the jasmine and vanilla. Now, again, a very light smell, more jasmine than vanilla, although it's a very good balance between the two of them. I get just a little bit more jasmine than the vanilla. The vanilla does not overwhelm, and so it's a very nice balance between the two. Again, using the same concept of holding the sample in my hand and loading the brush, using bore brushes almost exclusively. The lather that I got was thick and rich and just really, really nice. Really enjoyed it. And again, excellent shaves. The next one that I got, and this is the one that I used this morning, it's the cinnamon bun. Okay, yeah, it smells. It's got a little bit of cinnamon, kind of sugary, sweet cinnamon scent to it to kind of, give you the idea of a cinnamon bun. But I just, that one didn't, I don't know, I didn't get it. It's just great lather, great shave. As far as the scent goes, I just didn't get it. But, the blood orange, yeah, well, all of them, quite honestly. Excellent lathers. So if I was to put them and rank them out of those three samples that I have, jasmine and vanilla, blood orange, and then cinnamon bun. So that's where I would put those. And that has been my foray into the Dapper Dragon mix of things. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I look forward to doing some more. Now, in addition to that, I also had the sophomore shaver stopped in to talk to me while at work, and that's the advantage of having the sophomore shaver work with you. He can stop in and we can talk shaving every now and then, which is kind of nice, Well, he had brought me a sample. And he had brought me a sample of Whickham Soap Company's Super Smooth Spice Trade. It's a small sample. It's really a nice little container for the sample. It's kind of a square box with a lid on it. I really, really like that. The smell of this stuff is just exquisite. I really kind of got the spice, Old Spice kind of thing going on there. And it's just, it's good stuff. Anyhow, he gave it to me and he said, okay, now, from my experience, this stuff lathers great, but I can't get any cushion or, it just doesn't work well for me. Okay, well, I came and brought it home, and of course, being the curious type, and, absolutely devoted to the wet shaving experience, as soon as I got home, I soaked a brush and lathered it up, and the first one that the first shave that I had with it, I lathered it twice before I shaved with it, so the first lather that I had, I did find it just, a bit light. And so then I used the same method that I use with my Dapper Dragons, where I would hold it in my hand and use my bore brush and lather it up in my hand until I had a really good load on the brush. And as soon as I did that, I mean, it was thick and luxurious and just excellent. And so I don't know if it's it doesn't appear, looking at the sample, because it is a clear plastic container. It doesn't look like it's separated or anything like that. Initially I was thinking, well, maybe it's the stuff on top was a little drier or something, or it was a little bit harder or something like that. But in kind of playing with it, it seems like the sample's pretty much the same all the way through, so I don't think that's an issue. So I'm wondering if it's just a loading issue, if there just wasn't enough of a load in the brush to do the job right, and that can be. I mean, sometimes that happens. Again, like I go back to my Plisson, I just couldn't get enough of a load with the Dapper Dragons with my Plisson brush to make me happy, and I ended up going to the Badger. Now, when I talked to the sophomore shaver, he said that he was using the bore brush, my Samog. When I talked to the sophomore shaver, he did say that he had been using his bore brush, his Samog. And in fact, he said he told me, kind of confessed, that while the Plisson is very, very soft, he just finds that the bore brush actually seems to work a little bit better for him. And I understand that. To me, I have found that the Plisson is an excellent brush for creams. Really does a fantastic job for creams. But if there's anything that requires loading of a brush, well, the bores just kind of stand out. It's almost like they're more up to the task. And anyhow, I wanted to report that for me, anyhow, the Whickham soap company, which is out of England, it's also sold over at Maggard's, I believe. The super smooth spice trade has an absolutely fabulous scent. I mean, it's really nice. And for me, it lathered very nicely. And it also gave a very good level of glide and cushion. And so for me, it's a winner. I mean, I like all of the Whickham soaps, and this one, to me, it's kind of it's a standout when it comes to the scent of it. And so I wanted to report that. Now, the other thing that I've been doing recently, our church had a bazaar, a sale, a charity auction and sale rather. And there was a lady there that I'm going to have to sit down and talk with just a little bit more. But she makes ceramic bowls. And so I went and paid $15 for a ceramic bowl that is probably, I'm thinking maybe 5 inches. Hold on a second. Let me get a ruler, and I can tell you specifically. And it is, let's see, almost 6 inches in diameter, and it's a very nice blue, and I like that, and it just kind of holds well in the hand. Granted, your hand's all the way out, but it holds a good bit of heat. It's got a beautiful glaze on it, and somehow, and I don't quite know how, when she puts the glaze on, she masks both the inside and outside of the bowl with leaves, and in this case, she used a Japanese maple. And there's a Japanese maple leaf on the outside and a couple of them on the inside. And it's just kind of neat. So maybe I'll throw a picture of it up there. But I want to touch base with her and see if she'd maybe make something, if she's getting these already pre-made or what. But it has very nice, very nice texture on the inside of it. It's, it's got Got a little bit of texture there, and lather really seems to open up in this thing. Now, the one thing that I've noticed about the bigger bowl is that my lathers, well, because they're more spread out around the bowl, that they don't seem visually to be as thick. However, when I use the brush, it still has that same, lathery goodness, if you will. But looking at it visually, it just doesn't look like there's that much in the bowl, which makes sense because, well, the bowl's about another inch in diameter bigger, and so, it's got a little bit more surface area to try to cover and coat. But that may be an issue for some people if you're looking at your rather large salsa bowl or a rather large lather bowl of some type, and thinking, well, wait a minute, this isn't as good as my little lather bowl. Well, that's probably the same experience and maybe a reason why. It also tells you that if you go from a large bowl down to a small bowl, you may find some differences there too, just visually, in how much lather you get. Again, didn't really affect the shave. Didn't affect the amount of lather that I actually had available, well, for my face. It was just one of these kind of visual clues that, when you see it, you go, wait a minute, that looks just, well, different. And so I wanted to report that. And, who knows, maybe I can talk her into making me a custom bowl or something. And that would be cool because, it'd just be cool. So that's on the bowl front, if you will. So the sharp things, or razors, that I have been using this week kind of took on a, classic or vintage feel. I started out the week with none other than my ever-ready shovel head. And it, of course, I was using the PAL carbon steel blade. And it delivered. Now, it's interesting. It's got kind of a Damascene type handle on it. Most of the vintage single edge razors have kind of an octagonal type handle on it, but this one has a round one with a very thin head, very much like a Damascene. So it's all brass, and it's plated or just regular brass. It's not plated or anything. And it is an ever-ready, and it is a wonderful little razor. I really like it. And what I found is, and what I have found so far this week, is that this has been my, return to single edge, if you will. And I have really, really enjoyed that. And I've gotten some great shaves. I found that I was getting better shaves with the single edge, the PAL carbon steel blade in the single edge razor, than I was getting with some of the, the less than stellar blades in my Gillette, vintage Gillettes, or other double-edged razors, which was, not necessarily expected. So after that, I went on to a little bit newer model of Ever-Ready. And then, in fact, I went to my Star. So I've got 3 of my single-edged razors that got some attention this week. And in addition to that, because I also, since it was kind of a vintage single-edged theme, I also shaved on several occasions with one of my straight razors, either my Gold Dollar or my Newman blade that I just got back, or Newton blade, Newton & Sons, that I just got back from honing from Bill, and been very pleased with those. And the thing that's interesting is that when I was in a hurry, what I would do is I would do my cheeks, and then a single pass kind of cross grain on the neck with my straight, and then I would clean up with my single edge, and ended up with a wonderful shave that didn't take too long. When I had a little bit more time, then I would work at it with a straight razor, and again have a wonderful shave. Now, the last episode, I was talking about straight razor antics, and one of the issues that I had was that I would put on the lather, and I would shave with the first pass or whatever with the straight razor, and it would leave my skin dry and almost painfully so. And I am convinced at this point it was a situation where I was dealing with windburn, chapped skin, as it were. Because since then, I have not had a reoccurrence of that issue, and so from that regard, I am really, really enjoying straight razor shaves. And the other thing that's interesting about that is that, as time goes on, well, I'm getting much better at it. It's not quite as scary. It's not quite as nerve-wracking. I'm a little bit more, relaxed. And, of course, just like everything else, if you're a little bit more relaxed at it, you usually end up doing better. It's just one of those natural, normal things, If you're tense and nervous and, just scared, worried, whatever, well, you have a natural tendency to, make mistakes and, not necessarily have the best outcome. So, anyhow, I just wanted to report that that's what was going on here at the home front as far as playing with sharp things this week, and it's been kind of fun. I was accused of something the other day, and quite honestly, I didn't mind being accused of it. I was walking out of work, and one of our foreign visitors, who happens to be from India, was right behind me. And when I walk out of work, I don't take anything to work. It's just me and what I have in my pockets. And, I go to work, and then when I walk out, I leave. I don't take my computer home every day. I don't take a lunch. I just walk out. And he said, I like that. And I looked at him, okay, what? And he said, well, you walk out of here, you don't have anything. It has a certain, panache. And I like that. And I got to thinking about that, quite honestly. And, one of the reasons is that when I'm at work or when I'm doing something, I attempt to the best of my ability to give my full attention to it. But at the same time, I don't sit there and overwhelm myself with, okay, I have to give my full attention for, 10, 12 hours a day. Because I have discovered, and there have been scientific studies to actually look at this, that, at work anyhow, if you spend longer than 8 to 10 hours doing it, you're probably becoming less efficient as time goes on. And so, for me, it's like I'll give them 8 to 10 hours, and I will do my darndest within those 8 to 10 hours. But at the end of that 8 to 10 hours, I'm gonna go do something else. I just am. I'm not going to increase my efficiency by working longer. In fact, I'm probably going to decrease my efficiency. And quite honestly, after as many years as I have worked, how many of you have ever been victims of your own success? The boss gives you something to do, you do it, and somebody gives you more. And you get that done, and so he gives you more, and so you get that done. And, every time you're doing your best, which is exactly what you're supposed to do, the problem is that at some point you're going to become overwhelmed because he's going to become reliant on your abilities to get things done, which in some cases is a good thing, don't get me wrong, but there's also this phenomena of beating your racehorse. You've got two guys. One that does everything that you ask, and the other one that, doesn't. Who gets all the work? Not the guy that slacks. Trust me. It's not going to happen that way because, the guy that's doling out the work needs the work done. So he's going to give it to the guy that does it all the time. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to indicate that everybody should be slackers, but you need to be realistic because at some point, no matter what you do, if you keep working and working and working, they're going to keep loading you up. more and more and more. That's just the way it is. Quite honestly, if you have so much work that you're bringing it home all the time, well, maybe, there's an issue there. Maybe. It's just something to consider. Also, another thing, and this is just for me, I've been working for a while at this company. I have been working for, a long time. Let's just put it that way. And every time I turn around, it's something new and something different and something, additional. And things anymore just, maybe this is the same everywhere, but it's not like things are getting just magically easier. They still seem to maintain a certain level of difficulty, and it just doesn't seem to get better. No matter how many systems they put in place, it really doesn't seem to, improve the overall scheme of things, even though, they tout it as being done to make people more efficient and more effective. And it just doesn't turn out that way. Now, when you're young and you're just starting out, when somebody tells you, yes, this system will make you more efficient and more effective, well, quite honestly, you buy into that because that's exactly what you want. When you become, a little bit more seasoned, I guess is the polite way of saying it, like myself, you're just a tad more skeptical. And when somebody says, this will make you more efficient, really? You really think that? Okay. I love the fact, this is one that I always get on. We've got copy machines at work. And, printers and copy machines all nestled into one, and they're supposed to make us more efficient. And every day they ask us about efficiency. Okay, that's fine and dandy. But we all have Windows computers. Now, when you print something on a Windows, within a Microsoft product, for example, like Word or Excel or something, you have to select print. You have to set it up, and then you have to hit the little print button. And so, you've already gone to print, you've looked at it, and you've hit the print button. It usually doesn't happen just automatically. So, once you hit the print button, you have to go over to the printer. Now, you have to log into the computer or into the printer because everybody has their own password and everything else. Okay, I understand that. So you log into the printer, then you select the documents that you have sent to the printer that you would like to be printed. The last step, and this is what drives me crazy, the last step in the process is this danged printer asks you, are you sure? No, I've just pushed the dang buttons in on my computer. I've walked all the way over here, logged into you stupid thing, entered the documents, and said print and no, I'm not sure. I want to cancel everything. Well, duh. Yes, I want to print. I don't want to be asked, are you sure? Really? And then at the same time, they ask me every single year, what can we do to be more efficient? Okay, I have stopped taking them just, completely serious about that question because, quite honestly, if they don't even see that, which is affecting everybody, that is a drain on efficiency. If they can't even see, yes, it's one button push. Multiply that by all the people, by all the aggravation, by all the inconsistencies when they say, well, we're for efficiency. If you were, you'd get rid of that stupid crap. So, at the end of it all, I was thinking on my way home, no, I think it's more to the point of I'm walking out of here not with panache, but with, in fact, something completely different. Because when I walk out of here, I'm walking out in preparation to go do something that I enjoy, to go experience a different part of my life that I enjoy. And so after all these years of working for the company, getting excited about it, and then being disappointed, I must admit, And I hate to do this, but I have to because I'm honest. I'm not walking out with panache. I am walking out with graceful disregard. Because at the end of the day, when I walk out of the plant, when I walk out of the company that I work for, and this is a lesson to you that have gotten wrapped around the axle about all the things that you have to do at work. Once you walk out the gate, once you walk out the door, stop. Turn around. Look at the building. Wait a minute, it's still standing? How can that be? The building cannot be standing because you're not there to take care of everything. But you mean to tell me that you can stand there not being in the company, not being in your seat, doing what you do on a daily basis, and the company's not falling apart? Well, wait a minute. If the company doesn't fall apart because you're not there, are you taking it just a bit too seriously? And I finally came to the conclusion because, quite honestly, I used to get wrapped around the axle just completely because, well, I wasn't there and I should be there and I should be doing this, that, and the other thing. And, oh my gosh, all my work is going to pile up. And, well, yeah, I came to the conclusion after many years of that my work is going to pile up regardless. I mean, quite honestly, my office is slippery because of all the stuff that has fallen off the plate. It's just the way it is. I mean, even if you were a superhuman, all that would happen is they'd just give you more stuff. And if if you do a reasonable job and can walk out every day saying, yes, I earned my paycheck today, well, that's probably good enough at some point. So, that's one of the things that you have to keep in mind. It's one of the things that helps. And it's one of the things that, well, from time to time I think about while I'm shaving, realizing that I'm shaving to distract me momentarily from the mind games that I play with myself because, oh my God, I'm not at work. Now, for those of you that are self-employed, it may be a little bit difficult to get away from it all because it's like right there. But for me, anyhow, it has a way of helping, of saying, okay, I'm doing something that I enjoy, that I don't have to get all worked up about, and quite honestly, I am going to set the stage so that I can go through the day with graceful disregard. Graceful disregard for the excitement and chaos that is in fact the business world. Graceful disregard for the people on the TV stations that are jumping up and down and begging for my attention for this or that. Graceful disregard for my neighbors who's coming over and complaining about the neighbor next door saying, can you believe that this is happening? Can you imagine? How can they do this? Graceful disregard for the politics that is going on around us, especially around this time of year due to the elections and everything, where everybody is slamming everybody else and nobody's good enough and everybody's scum, and graceful disregard for the news that goes on constantly that tells you that the world is about to end and there's blood and chaos and war and terror and all these things that are just going to destroy us at any minute. Graceful disregard for all of those things that are truly not important. And if you would like to call that panache, I'm okay with that, because what it allows me to do is focus on the things that are important. Friends, family, life. So, if somebody happens to come up to you and say to you, well, that's rather amazing. You have a certain panache. You can look at them and say, why, yes, I do. Thank you. Well, that concludes this episode of the Brush and Soap and Blade Podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have some suggestions or would like a topic covered, drop me an email at BrushnSoapnBlade@gmail.com or give me a call at 864-372-6234 or contact us on Twitter at BrushnBlade. You can also visit us at our blog, BrushnSoapnBlade.wordpress.com. As always, we're available on iTunes and Stitcher.